Level 1. The Halcón. You're 17 years old. You're standing on a sun-scorched corner in Culiacan, leaning against a rusted lamppost that offers no shade. It's 104 degrees, and the air smells like hot asphalt and diesel exhaust. In your right hand, you're clutching a cheap Motorola radio. In your left, a half-frozen bottle of water that's already turned to lukewarm silt. You don't have a high school diploma. You don't have a resume. Your father vanished into the Sierra Madre 3 years ago, leaving behind nothing but a stack of unpaid bills and a name that carries no weight. A white SUV with heavy window tint idles at the red light across the street. The driver doesn't look at you, but you know he's watching. You've just been recruited as a halcón, a hawk. To the rest of the world, you're just another bored teenager loitering in the heat. To the Sinaloa Cartel, you are the outermost layer of a multi-billion-dollar nervous system. You are the eyes that never blink. Your protocol is simple. You are a human sensor. You aren't paid to think. You're paid to report. You've been assigned this specific kilometer of road because it's a primary artery for the merchandise. Your radio is your lifeline and your leash. You don't use names. You don't use descriptions. You use the codes they drilled into you in the back of a warehouse last week. When a green military convoy rattles past, you don't panic. You wait exactly 3 seconds, press the button, and whisper, "The circus is in town." You're paid $200 a week. It's more money than your mother makes in a month cleaning houses, but it comes with a hidden tax. You work 14-hour shifts, standing in the dirt. You learn to recognize the sound of a federal police engine from 3 blocks away. You learn which cars belong to the neighborhood and which ones belong to rivals looking for an opening. The paranoia starts small, a tiny itch in the back of your brain, but it grows every time a car slows down near your corner. You know the rules. If a patrol passes your post and you fail to chirp the radio, you don't get a lecture. The inspectors will find you, and you'll learn what a lead pipe feels like against your ribs. You're 17, and as you watch the white SUV finally pull away, you realize you've already made the choice. You've traded your name for a code, and your future for a radio. You're waiting for the day they give you something more than a bottle of water to hold. Level 2. The Puntero. You're 19 now. The sun hasn't gotten any cooler, but you've moved off the asphalt and into the shade of a storefront. You survived 2 years as a hawk, and more importantly, you never missed a call. The organization has rewarded your discipline. You aren't just watching the street anymore, you're managing it. You've been promoted to a puntero, a point man. You've been assigned your own punto, a specific neighborhood block that now belongs to you. You have 4 hawks of your own reporting to you now. You're the one who hands them their radios. You're the one who checks their pulses when they look tired. Your protocol has shifted from observation to operation. You are the face of the retail business. Every morning, a nondescript sedan drops off a backpack. Inside are hundreds of small, heat-sealed plastic baggies. Blue for meth, white for cocaine, yellow for the fentanyl that everyone is talking about. You don't touch the product yourself. You have runners for that. You sit in a plastic chair, sipping a soda, acting as the middleman between the supply and the addicts. You're making $800 a week now. It's a fortune. You buy a pair of designer sneakers you saw in a music video and a thick gold chain that feels heavy around your neck. You've also tucked a 9mm handgun into your waistband. You haven't fired it yet, but you like the way it presses against your hip. It reminds you that you're someone now. But the money comes with a different kind of weight. You are the one responsible for the corte, the daily financial report. Every night at midnight, you sit in the back of a darkened car and count the cash. The math has to be perfect. In this business, there are no accounting errors. If you come up $50 short, the cartel doesn't think you're bad at math. They think you're a thief. You've seen what happens to point men who try to skim a little off the top to pay for a better car. They end up as a gruesome message left in a vacant lot. The paranoia that started as an itch is now a constant hum. You have to be a psychologist, a salesman, and a guard all at once. You have to know which customers are regular and which ones are infiltrados, undercover agents trying to buy their way into the inner circle. You're 19, and you're realizing that the higher you go, the more people are looking at you. You're being watched by the bosses to see if you have the stomach for the violence that's coming. You're waiting for the day they ask you to do more than just count money. Level 3. The Sicario. You're 21. The plastic chair and the soda are gone. Now, you're sitting in the back of a Ford F-150 with 5 other men, the suspension groaning under the weight of steel plating welded into the doors. You aren't wearing a designer shirt anymore. You're in full tactical gear, heavy boots, a ballistic vest with SC embroidered on the chest, and a radio headset that's constantly chirping with encrypted chatter. In your lap, lies a customized AK-47 with a drum magazine, the metal cold against your palms. You are a Sicario. The transition happened fast. They took you from the street corner and sent you to a training camp hidden deep in the Sierra Madre Mountains. For 3 months, you lived in the dirt under the command of former Special Forces mercenaries. They didn't just teach you how to shoot, they taught you the zero emotion protocol. They taught you how to clear a house with surgical precision, how to set an ambush on a mountain pass, and how to use a barrel of caustic lie to make a human being vanish as if they never existed. You were forged into a tool, a blunt instrument of the cartel's will. Your pay has jumped to $2,000 for every work you complete. You don't ask why the target has to die. You don't ask if they had a family. In this world, questions are a luxury you can no longer afford. You live in a rotating cycle of safe houses, anonymous apartments with bare mattresses and the constant smell of gun oil and stale cigarettes. You sleep with your boots on and your rifle leaned against the wall. You're no longer a person, you're a call sign on a frequency. The violence at 21 is no longer a rumor, it's your daily routine. You're the one sent to clean a territory when a rival faction tries to move in. You've seen things that would make a normal man's mind fracture. Public messages left on bridges and interrogations that last for days. The paranoia has evolved into a hyper-awareness of every sound, every shadow, and every car that follows you for more than 2 turns. You have $15,000 hidden inside a spare tire in your garage, but you've never been poorer. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't visit your mother on her birthday because your presence is a death sentence for her. You're 21, and you realize that at this level, your life expectancy is measured in months, not years. You're the front line, the human shield. You're waiting to see if you can survive long enough for the bosses to decide you're too valuable to be wasted on a trigger. Level 4, the Transportista. You're 24. You've done the unthinkable and survived the front lines of a turf war that claimed most of the men you started with. The bosses have looked at your record and decided you're too smart, too cold, and too valuable to be lost in a random street corner shootout. They've moved you away from the trigger and into the gears of the machine. You are now a Transportista. You've traded your tactical vest for a polo shirt and a satellite phone. Your job is no longer to kill for the Empire. It is to make sure the Empire's blood, the product, keeps flowing across the most heavily guarded border in the world. Your protocol has shifted from violence to invisibility. You aren't hiding in safe houses anymore. You're sitting in a nondescript office in a Tijuana industrial park, staring at logistics software and GPS tracking feeds. You oversee a fleet of 50 tractor trailers that look like every other truck on the road. But beneath the surface, these are masterpieces of engineering. You manage the modification protocol, working with specialized mechanics who weld lead-lined false floors into trailers or hide 10-kilo bricks inside the pressurized tires of heavy machinery. The math at 24 is staggering. You are responsible for moving 3 tons of product a month. One successful crossing is worth more than every hit you ever carried out as a Sicario. You're making $50,000 for every load that touches U.S. soil. You spend your nights studying the shift changes of Border Patrol agents and the maintenance schedules of the giant X-ray Z-portal scanners. You learn the tunnel protocol, overseeing crews of miners who dig 30 feet underground, equipped with electricity, ventilation, and rail tracks that terminate in a quiet suburban garage in San Diego. But the pressure at this level is a silent, crushing weight. If a shipment is seized, you don't just lose product, you lose $20 million of the boss's money. When a truck gets red-lighted at the border, your heart stops. You have to explain to men who don't accept excuses exactly why the route failed. You learn that a $50,000 bribe to a customs official is a more powerful weapon than 1,000 AK-47s. You're playing a high-stakes game of chess against drones, seismic sensors, and thermal imaging. You have 10 different cell phones, and you rotate them every 48 hours. You're 24, and you've become a master of the crossing. You're waiting to see if you can handle the responsibility of an entire territory. Level 5. The Plaza Boss. You're 28. The dust of the warehouse and the grease of the transport trucks are behind you. You have graduated to the inner circle of regional management. You are now a Plaza Boss. In the world of the cartel, a plaza is a specific geographic kingdom, a city, a border crossing, or a vital mountain corridor. This territory is now yours to rule. You no longer pull a trigger or drive a truck. You sit in a leather chair behind a mahogany desk in a fortified ranch, managing the silver or lead protocol that dictates the life and death of thousands. Your job is to act as the shadow governor. You are the one who ensures the state functions in harmony with the empire. Your protocol is simple: total control. You oversee every gram of product that moves through your zip code, but you also oversee the town itself. You are responsible for the payroll, which at this level means distributing millions in bribes. You have the local police commander, the mayor, and the regional military generals on an encrypted group chat. You pay their salaries, their children's tuition, and their vacation homes. In exchange, they give you a pax mafiosa, a state of peace where the authorities stay in their barracks while your convoys roll through the streets at 3 a.m. At 28, you are making $200,000 a month. You live in a sprawling estate with gold-plated faucets, a private zoo, and a fleet of armored SUVs. But the luxury is a cage. You wear a bulletproof vest under your tailored silk shirts because you know the rules of the game. Power is never given, it is only taken. You spend your days settling disputes between local gangs and your nights staring at security monitors. You have to be a master of diplomacy and a monster of discipline. If a rival cartel tries to split your plaza, you are the one who orders the scorched earth response to protect the territory. The paranoia has reached its peak. You realize that your name is now printed on a file in a government building 3,000 miles away. You are no longer an anonymous worker. You are a high-value target for the kingpin strategy. Internally, you are also under constant threat. Every young, hungry Sicario at level 3 looks at your lifestyle and wonders if they could do a better job. You don't trust the food you eat or the people you pay. You're 28 and you've realized that being a king means living with a target on your back. You're waiting to see if the supreme leaders call you to the inner sanctum, or if they decide you've become too powerful to stay alive. Level 6. The Jefe de Seguridad. You're 32. You've moved beyond managing a single city. Now, you are the wall that protects the heart of the entire empire. You are the Jefe de Seguridad, the head of security. You aren't just a boss anymore. You are a shadow general. Your protocol is no longer about profit or territory. It is about the survival of the crown. You are the human shield between the supreme leaders and the world that wants them dead. Your daily life is a continuous, high-stakes war game. You command a private army of over 1,000 men, many of whom are former Special Forces commandos and elite paratroopers who traded their national service for a cartel paycheck. You oversee the Monstro Protocol, managing the production of improvised armored fighting vehicles, heavy trucks encased in 2-inch thick steel plating with turret mounts for 50 caliber machine guns. You don't just react to threats, you anticipate them. At 32, you are a master of counterintelligence. You spend your nights in a darkened command center, monitoring encrypted satellite feeds and radio frequencies. You sweep safe houses for bugs. You track the GPS of every high-ranking member, and you run the sniffing protocol to find informants within the ranks. When the military launches a raid, you are the one who coordinates the Culiacanazo-style response, blocking every major artery of a city with burning buses and hundreds of gunmen to force the government to retreat. The pressure is absolute. If a member of the board of directors is captured or killed on your watch, the organization doesn't fire you, they execute you. You live in a world of high-tech surveillance and medieval brutality. You have a $5 million salary, but you haven't stepped foot in a public place in years. You live in the mountains, moving between hidden bunkers that look like simple shacks from the air. You've become a ghost, a myth spoken of in whispers by the soldiers below. You're 32, and you realize that you've built a fortress so strong that even you can't get out. You're waiting to see if you can transition into the quiet, clinical world of the white-collar elite. Level 7. The Lavador de Dinero. You're 36. The smell of gun oil and the deafening roar of machine guns are gone, replaced by the hushed tones of a private banking suite in Panama City. You have traded the tactical vest for a 3-piece suit tailored in Milan. You are a lavador de dinero, a money launderer. You are now the white-collar soul of the organization. Your protocol is no longer about how to kill, but how to hide the billions of dollars that the previous 6 levels have generated. In the eyes of the law, you are a successful venture capitalist and a philanthropist. In reality, you are the filter that turns blood-stained cash into clean, spendable global wealth. Your tools are no longer rifles, but spreadsheets, shell companies, and offshore bank accounts. You oversee a vast network of legitimate front businesses, avocado plantations, car dealerships, luxury hotel chains, and professional sports teams. You are a master of the smurfing protocol, taking $50 million in cash and breaking it down into thousands of tiny, unnoticeable deposits of under $10,000, spread across a web of hundreds of accounts to bypass the automated red flags of central banks. At 36, you move money through the global financial system with the click of a button. You hide the cartel's tracks behind layers of layering protocol, using international trade deals and fake invoices to move capital between Hong Kong, Dubai, and London. You're a respectable businessman who sits on boards and attends charity galas. You speak the language of interest rates and diversification, but you know that the danger here is silent and clinical. You don't fear a rival's bullet as much as you fear a forensic auditor from the IRS or a suspicious wire transfer flag from Interpol. If the government freezes the cartel's accounts because of one sloppy transaction, you have effectively killed the organization's ability to pay its soldiers, and the punishment for that is far worse than any prison sentence. You live a life of extreme luxury, but you never use a credit card in your own name. You have become indispensable because you are the one who keeps the lights on and the payroll moving. You're 36, and you realize that the pen is indeed mightier than the sword, but it's also much easier to trace. You're waiting to see if you will finally be invited to the table of the gods. Level 8, the lieutenant. You're 40. You have reached the summit of the shadow world. You are a teniente, a lieutenant. You are no longer just a manager of men or a cleaner of money. You are a strategist of an empire. In the Sinaloa hierarchy, you are one of the few people on the planet who understands the total protocol. You know the GPS coordinates of the hidden laboratories in the mountains, the names of the cabinet ministers on the payroll, and the secret schedules of the semi-submersibles currently cutting through the dark waters of the Pacific. Your daily life is a series of high-stakes international negotiations. You are the diplomat of the underworld. One day, you are in a remote mountain cabin, brokering a peace treaty with a rival faction to avoid a territorial war that would disrupt the global supply chain. The next, you are on an encrypted satellite link with chemical manufacturers in Asia, securing the precursors for next year's fentanyl production. You are the bridge between the godfather at the top and the thousands of workers on the ground. You interpret the boss's vision and turn it into reality, deciding which plaza bosses are expanding and which ones need to be pruned for the health of the organization. At 40, your protocol is absolute discretion. You are the most wanted man who doesn't yet have a face on a most wanted poster. While the media and the law focus on the face of the kingpin, you are the one actually keeping the engine running. You have $100 million at your disposal, but your life is a paradox of ultimate power and ultimate restriction. You have 3 different families in 3 different cities, and none of them know your real name or the true nature of your consulting business. The weight of level 8 is the weight of a crown you aren't officially wearing. You are the heir apparent, the man everyone expects to take over next. This makes you the biggest threat to the leaders above you and the biggest target for the hungry sicarios below who want your seat. The paranoia has evolved into a cold, calculating state of being. You don't trust the reports you read or the loyalty of the men who bow to you. You're 40 and you've realized that in this world there are no friends, only interests. You're waiting to see if you can survive the final climb to the absolute peak. Level 9, El Patron. You're 45. The climb is over. You are El Patron, the supreme leader. You are the top of the pyramid, the architect of a global conglomerate with more wealth and power than many sovereign nations. You have reached the summit that thousands of kids on street corners dream of. But as you look down from the peak, you realize the protocol of the kingpin isn't about ruling. It's about surviving the impossible. Your life is no longer your own. You are a ghost, a myth spoken of in folk songs and whispered about in government corridors. You don't sleep in the same bed twice. You live in a state of permanent motion, moving between fortified ranches in the high Sierras and hidden bunkers beneath the city. You have thousands of men ready to die for you, yet you cannot trust the man standing right behind you. At this level, loyalty is a commodity you buy every day, and betrayal is the only thing you get for free. You spend your days managing the succession protocol, knowing that your greatest enemies aren't just the DEA or the military, but the young, hungry lieutenants at level 8 who are tired of waiting for their turn. The reality of level 9 is a golden cage. You have $2 billion buried in the ground and hidden in offshore accounts, but you cannot buy a single moment of peace. You haven't walked into a grocery store or a public park in 15 years. Your legacy is written in blood and built on the bodies of the thousands who occupied the levels before you. There is no retirement plan in the Sinaloa cartel. There are only 2 ways off this mountain: a high security cage in a foreign land or a grave in the mountains you call home. You have won the game, but the prize is a life of permanent fear, waiting for the one mistake that ends the protocol forever. You're 45 years old. You're a billionaire. You're a legend. And you're completely, utterly alone. You traded your soul for a kingdom you can't walk in. Was it worth it? You'll never know. Because somewhere in Culiacan, a 17-year-old kid is standing on a dusty corner. He's holding a radio. He's waiting for a white SUV to roll down the window. The cycle continues.